Hello, Vincent Carroll speaking. Tutorial number 52, Nocturia. The definition of nocturia is getting up frequently to pass water at night, to visit a bathroom, to pass urine. I've had a number of patients coming to me with that condition, and they're younger people, they're not older people. Very often older gentlemen, because of prostatic enlargement, often have to get up 2 or 3 times at night to pass water, and that's a separate issue, and I won't be dealing with that in this particular video. Instead, I'm thinking about younger people who are going to pass water in the middle of the night, visiting the bathroom. And my first question in those cases really is the volume of urine small, and is the volume of urine, or is the urine normal in colour, straw yellow, or is it highly concentrated, or is it highly white, and therefore more water-like in quality and in colour? And these are important questions, because when you think about it, the purpose of the urinary bladder is to expand at night, to act as a reservoir, to prevent you getting up in the middle of the night to pass water. I mean, plainly, if you've had something to drink, maybe a lot to drink before you go to bed, then yes, you'll pay for it, and you will be woken up with the sensation of a full bladder. But the sensation will be a full bladder, and there will be the passage of a full volume of urine. I'm talking about people who wake up at night and pass a small volume of normal urine. The question must be asked, why does the urinary bladder not do what the urinary bladder is meant to do, which is expand, to act as a reservoir for urine? But it doesn't do so. And again, from an acupuncture point of view, I find in all the cases I've dealt with, I found that the liver has been invading downwards into the lower jiao. In other words, that the urinary bladder on the one hand is expanding and doing what it's meant to do, to create a volume of urine to get you by until the morning, but on the other hand, the liver is invading downwards, pushing the energy downwards as the energy of the urinary bladder is trying to expand upwards. So what is happening? Well, obviously there's some sort of an equilibrium, and that equilibrium is about maybe a half volume of urine. But what is important is that urinary bladder, it passes water, passes urine that is straw yellow, that is normal in colour and normal in consistency. It is not very concentrated, and it is not very pale, because it's normal urine, and it should normally fill a normally full bladder, but it doesn't. And the reason why it doesn't is the liver is invading downwards as the urinary bladder is expanding upwards, and somewhere or other along that axis the urinary bladder fails to expand any further, because it can't. It comes up against resistance, and because of that, a person's urinary bladder sensory triggers work to wake the person up and to get them to go to the bathroom, and that's fairly normal. So what do you do? How do you make that as a diagnosis? Well, first of all, you have to look for evidence. You have to look for other evidence of liver qi stagnant in the lower jiao, and there are 2 other systems there. There's the digestive system, so you'll be thinking in terms probably of a sluggish bowel, or evidence of liver qi invading the large bowel, slowing it up. And maybe it slows it up for some days, and then the liver qi comes off for whatever reason. Maybe you get a bit of good news, and the bowel plays catch up, so there could be loose stools as well, a mixture of sluggishness and loose stools, otherwise known as irritable bowel syndrome. But that's all about liver invading the lower jiao. And of course, from a gynecological point of view, there can be upset in many areas, including the period cycle, including pain, endometrial disease, and I think I've dealt with that in previous videos. So you look for evidence there. In men, very often it's an enlarged prostate, but one way or the other you have evidence. And often, of course, there's the bloated, distended abdomen, the sense of awareness of the lower abdomen, an uncomfortable awareness that the abdomen is there, and that even might affect the choice of clothing, such as elastic bands and all that, to hold clothing up, because that as the abdomen expands, you may have to choose your clothes depending on that, and all that is evidence of liver invading the lower jiao. And if liver does invade the lower jiao, it may well invade the urinary bladder as well, because that is one of the systems that's very much part of the lower jiao. So again, if a person wakes up to go to the bathroom, and for no other obvious reasons, such as having consumed a large amount of water before they go to bed. And if they have consumed a large amount of water or alcoholic drink or whatever it might be, then you expect the urinary bladder to expand to its full amount and for a full volume of urine to be passed. I'm speaking about situations where there is a half or a quarter volume of urine passed, but yet the person wakes up, is triggered to wake up, to go to the bathroom, and surprisingly there's a small volume of urine to be passed. And the reason for that is space. There is not enough space for the urinary bladder to expand because of the actions of liver energy going downward. So it's a classic example of liver chi stagnation in the lower jaw. And we usually concentrate on the digestive or the gynae system or fertility issues when liver invades the lower jaw. But let us not forget that the urinary bladder is also a victim of the liver invading downwards. And as I've said, I've had a number of young patients. One man, I recollect, and about 3 women have come to see me with getting up at night for no apparent reason. In fact, in all the cases, they've chosen not to drink too much before they got to bed on the hope that they get a full night's sleep, but not at all. They wake up with a quarter bladder of passing normal urine, because as the bladder expands just 25-30% of the distance, then the liver comes down and prevents further expansion and further retention of urine in the bladder. The urine then must be voided in the middle of the night because the body triggers that the bladder is full, when of course it's not full. The liver is invading downwards. Thank you.